Cool.
So I'm here with Mr. Locario,
What?
lifestyle and dating coach. I've been following your content for a minute. I feel like you give some of the most practical dating advice on the internet. And I love your fresh perspective. How did you get into lifestyle and dating coach?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on here, man. So I've been doing this for damn near 20 years at this point. But yeah, I got into it because my friend, who's also my business partner, Miles Cunningham, we just were talking one day. I said, hey, I want to do something that's my own business. And then I was like, okay, cool, let's do this thing because I was like, I'm good at talking to women, attracting women. This is like, I was like super, super player guy. So then I was like, let me try to help guys do this. And then I started coaching women, and then I started writing books, and I started, writing for other websites, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And then we just kept it going, and now we're here. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And I feel like one of the things I really enjoy about your content is that there's a lot of different ideas on the internet, but you really preach, the aspect of looking within and improving yourself.
Mm.
And I think you hear a lot of rhetoric on the internet, where people will say the passport bros, you should go overseas, or
Mm.
you should date women from other races, like black women are trash, that's what some of these other content creators I
Mm.
hear them talking about. But you really talk about you improving yourself, and that'll be the ability to be able to attract the best quality woman for you.
Yeah, well, the thing is this: any issue that you're having in dating is coming from you. It's not anybody else. You understand? So a lot of times what people do is that they look outside themselves and say, well, it's this person's fault, this person's fault, this person's fault. But you're the common denominator. That's why I always try to tell people, you are the common denominator. So if you're having issues attracting women, it's not the women, it's you. Just like if a woman has issues attracting men, it's not the men, it's her. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times people just got to understand that they need to focus on themselves and improve themselves so that they become more attractive so that they can actually get what they want out of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. And one of the pieces of advice I wish I had had this earlier in my life is you advise people particularly women who are making it difficult for you, not to pursue them. Because if a woman isn't being agreeable, let's say you're at a club. I think that was the example you gave in the video I was watching, and you were saying you say let's go outside and talk, so we can hear each other, and she's making it difficult for you. You shouldn't be pursuing that type of woman. And I think a lot of guys, they feel that if a woman is is giving them a challenge, they want to continue to pursue it, but then wonder why the relationship doesn't work out. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I tell guys this is very important: is that how you acquire women and how you interact with women matters. Meaning that it's not about just having sex or hooking up or getting a girlfriend or a wife or whatever. It's like, how did this occur? And so the thing is that if she is interacting with you and she's giving you resistance, and then you continue to pursue, and she's giving you resistance, you continue to pursue, and then you end up, getting her. A lot of guys think that that's a win. And what I tell guys is that it's actually not a win, and it's really dangerous, because what happens is that this is why you have situations where you see all these male celebrities that get into lawsuits. And Shannon Sharp, even the other day I heard that Game had to pay this woman like $7 million for something, and all these different things that go down. And that's because a guy has decided to deal with a woman who doesn't really like him. And so when a woman is giving you resistance, that means that she is not 100% interested in you. That means that she doesn't have high interest. So what I teach guys is focus on the women who have high interest, because the women who don't have high interest, which is the women who give you resistance, they're going to give you more resistance. And even if you make something happen with them, because they're giving you resistance and they're not really that into you, that means that you're asking for more drama and trouble later on down the line. So it's better to only really focus on the women from the jump who are giving you cooperation, and then fall back from the women who are giving you resistance. And this is the reason why guys love to deal with women who give resistance, because most guys, they are used to getting resistance from women. So they figure if I'm getting resistance from her and I can push through it and still get her, that must mean I have game. But that's not game. That's you basically wearing a woman down and chasing her. Game is recognizing your value and then finding women who match that. A woman who cooperates matches the value that you see in yourself because she's recognizing, oh, he's that guy. So because he's that guy, I'm going to cooperate with him. If she's not cooperating with you, what she's essentially saying is you're not that guy, which is why she's giving you resistance. You see what I'm saying?
Most definitely, and that's very practical advice. And when I heard that, I was like, I wish I'd heard that, like, early on in my life, because I think I've wasted a lot of time, like a lot of men, like, pursuing women who weren't obviously interested, and then, like, you may get them, but, like, it doesn't work out in the long term, obviously. But one of the things I thought was, like, really interesting that you said was about Shannon Sharp. And, Game, you mentioned these celebrities. What is, like, some of the red flags, like, that can avoid people for, like, being in those situations?
Yeah. So basically, what it is this, right? Is that one of the red flags is this is when this is what you have to do as a man. You have to figure out what you want and then give a woman instruction, meaning that you have to tell her what to do based on your program. So let's say, for example, if let's say I meet a girl at a bar, right? I match with her on a dating app. I say, hey, meet me at this bar, 8 o'clock Friday, right? And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for her to say, yeah, that sounds good. Looking forward to seeing you. Just and straight off the bat, she's down to meet me. Then let's say she meets me there, and I say, hey, let's go sit in the back. And then she comes and she follows me to the back, and we're talking. She's receptive to me. I say, hey, let's get out of here. Let's go, to this other spot or whatever it is. Basically, I'm looking to see if she is following my lead and she's being cooperative the entire time. So the red flag is when you tell a woman what to do and she resists. You know So if I say, hey, meet me at 8 o'clock at the Main Street Bar Friday, and she's like, oh, well, actually, I would rather you take me to dinner. That's her resisting my invite for the drink. That's already a red flag. You see what I'm saying? So the red flag is when you see a woman resisting. What you want to focus on is cooperation 100% throughout the entire process. And a lot of guys don't understand that because a lot of guys have never dealt with women who actually are into them like that because they accept women who give them a lot of resistance, a lot of pushback. So the biggest red flag is really the pushback, because this is the thing. When a woman actually is into you and likes you and she's really, really feeling you, she wants it to work out badly. So the way that she knows that it's going to work out really well is if you like her. She knows you're going to like her if she's making it easy for you. So women choose whether or not they want to make it easy for you or not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I think, like, a lot of times, like, guys kind of, like, don't necessarily pick up on that. And, like, I think, like, you explained why, like, pretty well. Would you consider yourself part of, like, the red pill community?
Oh, hell no. I try my best to, like, to tell people, like, I'm not a part of that. Like, there's people that are in the red pill community that I'm cool with personally. Like when the cameras are off, like, they're cool people, like, they're good people. You understand what I'm saying? But the ideology and the ideas, I don't agree with most of it. You understand what I'm saying? So I try to stay away from that because I don't want people to confuse me with the ideas, or even like pickup artists. Like, I don't want people to confuse me with pickup artistry, red pill, any of those pills and all this other stuff. So what I teach is game. I teach strategy. I teach self-love. I teach awareness about who you are and what you're about and what you want to really make happen in your situation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, and I see, like, a difference in the type of content that you do, because it's like you're not talking about, like, manipulation, or like, like, I watched a video, like, earlier where you were talking about, like, if you have to manipulate a woman, it's like it's basically because you're not really that guy, like, and you're talking about, like, improving yourself and being the best version of yourself. And I don't hear that from other content creators. Do you feel like that? I feel though that there's still a lot of great men out there who don't necessarily attract women, like, have everything on paper, where it's like, they kind of, like, they have a great job, or, like, they work out, or, like, they take care of themselves, but, like, they still have difficulty picking up women. Like, what would be your advice to people like that?
Yeah. So the thing is, what makes you look good on paper isn't what makes you necessarily attractive to a woman. So I always tell guys this is that, you could be the most upstanding citizen. You pay your taxes. You help a ladies cross the street. You're like the perfect guy. The problem is that doesn't excite a woman because what excites a woman is sexual attraction. And sexual attraction, right? When you're sexually attractive and you're sexually appealing, that's a combination of your looks, appearance, and behavior. And so what happens is that most guys, they display a behavior of trying to be like this very like gentlemanly, I'm going to court you, I'm going to be like the perfect type of guy, but that doesn't really make a woman feel you, because what makes a woman feel you, which is what makes her sexually attracted to you, is her actually getting to know who you are really behind the facade of trying to be the nice gentleman guy. Because trying to be a gentleman or trying to court women or trying to, lead with your wallet or trying to put those things on the forefront, that's not really you. That's what society has told you to be, and that's what you're putting up in the front. You understand? But that's not really who you are. So she has to feel who you really are in order to actually be sexually attracted to you, right? And this is the thing. Even though you might be a good person, you're a good guy, you're like an upstanding person. The problem is that just because you're good doesn't mean that you are attractive. And I always use this example. If you gave most people the option of eating salad versus eating pizza, most people will probably take the pizza. Why? Because even though salad is good for you, pizza is more attractive. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the thing. This is why bad boys are more attractive to women than the nice guys or the guys who are just good dudes. Because what happens is that the same way that the pizza is more enticing and more attractive than the salad is the same way that the bad boy is more enticing than the good dude. Because a good dude just being good does not get a woman wet. You feel what I'm saying? What gets a woman wet is her feeling that masculine energy, that natural energy that you have. So this is the thing. Most guys suppress that because they think being that is inappropriate. Well, that's, I'm going to offend her. That's inappropriate. I can't just be a sexual being with her. I have to be a gentleman and court her and take her to dinner and get to know her. That's nonsense. If you are actually just being yourself, like you're really being yourself, being raw and being unfiltered and being who you are, that's going to make you attract more women than trying to be this guy courting women and being a gentleman and all the other nonsense you've been taught. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely have like experienced that in my own life. I think like a lot of times, like, it's important, like, to be real and like, say what you want, like what you're trying to achieve out of the situation. It can save you a lot of time. One of the things I was really impressed with, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, like in addition to being like, internet personality, like, and like always on my feed, like I've seen your videos for a long time. You're an author and you've written about 5 books. Like, I was really impressed. It's Your Fault You're Single, Tips on Finding Mr. Right, How to Have Sex with 2 Women a Day, How to Get Shit Done, 7 Tips on How to Achieve Your Goals, the Bad Boy Book, A Guide to Becoming the Bad Boy Women Want, and then 60-Second Game. Can you talk a little bit about your books and being an author?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, I also wrote this other book called Looks Don't Matter. That was the latest book I wrote. But basically, I started writing books years ago because I was like, okay, I really want to have, a lot of the ideas in one place that a person could pick up, read it, digest it, and all that other stuff. I actually personally don't like writing books. Like I don't even know if I'm ever write a book again in my life because it's a headache in my opinion, writing books, because it's not an easy thing. Some people have ghostwriters and all that. I've written all my books. I've got it edited down, but everything that I did, I wrote all this stuff down and all that. But yeah, the reason why I wanted to write the books is I wanted to have the information out there easily accessible for people to see it, understand it all in one place, and see everything come together so that they can have an understanding. So for example, even my book, I have a book called Looks Don't Matter that I just dropped, I think a year and a half ago. And basically the book is teaching guys how to be attractive outside their looks. You see what I'm saying? And so even and it's funny because when people read or see the title, they're like, that's nonsense. Looks matter. It's all about looks and all this other stuff. And it's funny, even in the book, I talk about how looks matter also. You feel what I'm saying? But basically the draw of the book is to get guys to think outside the box, to understand that looks, even though a woman will be physically attracted to you, that's surface level, but there's a deeper thing as far as attraction is concerned that a lot of guys are not tapping into because they put so much emphasis on the surface. And when you do that, that's when you're gonna, mess up out there. You see what I'm saying?
Most definitely. What would be your advice to men, like, particularly in an atmosphere, like I feel that materialism is really emphasized in our culture. And I see like, a lot of people like, relying on like the sugar baby dating sites, things of that nature, like, escorts, OnlyFans models, like, the Instagram girls, like, going after them. Like, how do people like, stay away from that type of stuff and like focus on like, women who actually are interested in them?
Yeah, I would say what it is that you have to become more into yourself, and then the more into yourself you are, the less you will be attracted to those type of women. You understand? And what I mean, and this is the thing, there's nothing really wrong with dealing with those type of women if you have game. So I always preface this by saying that a lot of times the problem is that there's no problem with dealing with a woman who does OnlyFans or a stripper or any, even just a sex worker in general. There's actually nothing wrong with that. The issue though is if you don't have game, you're not going to know what you're doing, and the woman's going to run you. That's guaranteed. And so Shannon Sharpe is a perfect example. He was dealing with the girl from OnlyFans. She set the whole thing up. She's running him, and this is why he's in the situation he's in. If he had game, what he would do is he would have led the situation, understood what needed to be done in the situation, and he would have never been in this type of situation, right? So, but the thing is this, at the end of the day, what happens is that when you are into yourself more and you're more confident, right? You see yourself as more valuable, that you don't really deal with women in that vein, because a lot of times women who are like that are dealing with guys who are tricks, guys who are going to they're generally dealing with guys who are going to pay them. Right now, those women deal with guys who don't pay them, but the guys who they deal with who don't pay them are the guys who have game. You see what I'm saying? So let's say if you have an OnlyFans model or a stripper or whatever, there's going to be a bunch of guys she deals with that have to pay her. Why do they have to pay her? Because she's not attracted to them. She's only attracted to their money. You understand? Or mostly attracted to the money. That same girl is hooking up with a guy that is paying her nothing. And in fact, she's taking the money she's getting from those guys and buying that other guy presents and gifts, and she wants to be with that guy. Why? Because he has game, because that guy values himself, and he basically tells the woman, in order for you to get with me, you're going to have to prove yourself to me. Most males, what they do is they try to prove themselves to women. So you always got to ask yourself, what side of the spectrum am I on? Am I trying to prove myself to the woman, which is why these guys will hit up the OnlyFans girls, the Instagram models and all. Those guys are trying to prove themselves to women. Oh, I got more money than the next guy. I'll do this for you. I'll pay your rent. I'll do all these things. The other guy who has game, he says, listen, I don't care how good you look. I don't care what you got. I am the one that you have to prove something to. So I'm not dealing with you, looking at you, having sex with you. I'm doing nothing with you unless you prove to me that you're worth my time. And this is the key. Once a guy does that and it's real, he can't pretend this. He can't fake this. It has to be real. That woman sees him and says, damn, there's something different about him versus the other guys, which in turn makes him more valuable, which means because he's more valuable, she has to bring more to the table in order to get him. And that's why he doesn't have to pay. That's why she will actually give him money, give him gifts, do what he wants, because she wants access to his value. Whereas the other guys are putting her on a pedestal and making her the value, so they're proving themselves to her. That's how it works.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think like I remember like hearing a story about like Colin Kaepernick. I don't know if it was like Brittany Renner, but she was telling a story about like, when like she went to go see him, he made her pay for her ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I feel like, that's kind of like what you're talking about. But do you feel that there's so many dating coaches, there's so many life coaches online that industry particularly is oversaturated? And then I feel like there's a lot of people sometimes who don't necessarily have the experience to back it up. Like, like we've seen like, dating coaches who have been exposed, like, where they're paying for escorts, or like, they're not necessarily, they don't have like, the results of like, actually like having success in dating to be giving advice on dating.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this is you have people who they'll be coaches, but the problem is that, and I would say as far as oversaturation, I would say it's there's a lot of oversaturation of people who don't know what they're talking about. You understand what I'm saying? because what happens is, this is why we say game recognize game. So that just means that a person with game recognizes another person with game. And so when I see a lot of these coaches, I can tell that they don't have game just based on what they say. You understand? And so, for example, I heard, I'm not going to say no names, but I heard I was looking at this dating coach's video, and he was basically saying that, he was like, yeah, it's okay to like double and triple text the girl because, maybe she was busy, and then maybe you get her on another day, and then she like wants to get with you. And this is the thing. What happens is that a girl can respond to you if you double and triple text her. The problem is, though, and this is the key that they're not understanding, is that the actions you take tells your subconscious about yourself, and it also tells the woman about you. It gives it a story. So now, let's say if I'm a guy who is on point, confident, believes in himself, and I'm that guy, why would I double or triple text a woman? I would never do that because I'm that guy. Why would I do that? That's a contradiction. So what happens is that when the coach is teaching his students, oh yeah, double, triple text her, what he's teaching you to do is chase women. What he's teaching you to do is not respect yourself, because if you respected yourself, you wouldn't do that. So a lot of times the actions people take are going to tell you how they view themselves. So when I see a dating coach saying these things, I'm like, okay, I can tell his game is weak because he's teaching his students to have weak game, because that's what he does. And he doesn't realize that what he's doing is chasing women instead of actually giving advice that's going to improve the guy and make the guy see his value first. This is why I always tell people the game is about you. It's not about women. A lot of coaches, what they do is they make the game about the women. So they're teaching guys to put women on a pedestal and chase them. And so I feel like that's the oversaturation. It's oversaturated with guys who don't really have game trying to teach other guys certain things. And then you have a bunch of people that's lost. Do you see what I'm saying? So my thing is this, is anybody can pick up the microphone and be a coach, but do you know what you're saying? And are you giving accurate information that's going to really help people in the long run? You feel what I'm saying?
Most definitely. And I appreciate, like, I feel like, that you give like the best advice on the internet. What are your thoughts about dating sites right now? Like, I feel like a lot of people, like, feel that there is a disadvantage for men. Do you see that? Or like, do you feel like, it's still a great tool for them?
Yeah, the thing is, and it's funny because I have a website, shoplocario.com, where on there I do online dating consultation. So people could sign up for that. Just go to shoplocario.com and click on the link. But this is the thing. Dating sites are really, really good if you know what you're doing. But if you don't, they suck. You understand? Like, meaning, like, especially for guys, because if you don't know what you're doing, what happens is you get lost in the shuffle. And basically what happens is that you don't stand out. So then you don't get as many matches, and you don't get as many connections, and then you don't get as many dates. So nothing really happens for you. You feel what I'm saying? And so, but if you do know what you're doing, then you have your pick of the litter. So, and a lot of guys think that online dating is just strictly based on you being a good looking guy. But I'll give a tip like this. So for example, it's not about you being like the best looking dude. It's about you having the best presentation. So meaning that, for example, a lot of guys take terrible pictures. So it's not that you're not a good looking dude. It's that your pictures suck. Your pictures are terrible. You're in a dark room. You're in the mirror taking selfies. You're taking pictures in a dirty apartment. Like, those things matter when a woman's looking at your profile. She's like, okay, this guy looks like a mess, so let me swipe left, right? Versus you can have a guy who is dressed real nice, has a nice haircut, has a picture that looks crisp, and he's going to get more attention than the other guy whose picture sucks. So it's little things like that a lot of guys don't understand. Then on top of that, the bios suck. They don't know what to say in the bios. And then they don't also know how to send the messages to make the date. So there's all these steps that a lot of guys don't take. And this is the reason why they don't take it, or they don't understand. Most guys, what they do is that when they're on these dating apps, and not even just dating apps, but just in general, when it comes to dating, they forget that they're not the only guy on earth. Meaning that if they're on a dating app, they forget there's other guys on the dating app who have way better pictures than you. There's other guys on the dating app who have better bios than you. There's other guys on the dating app who send better messages than you. So if that's the case, why would she pick you if she has all these other guys who are doing better than you to pick from? You see what I'm saying? And that's what guys don't understand. So that's what people got to get to. It's like, how do I stand out from the crowd in this situation? You see what I mean?
Most definitely. What are your thoughts about cold approach? You know, I've heard like some people say that like cold approach is dead in 2025, and then some people say it's like it's thriving. Like what do you feel?
Yeah, a lot of people say that because they're not out here in real life. So they're like, oh, approaching women is dead. That'll never die, but, you know, because you're a man, she's a woman, you're gonna want. So the thing is most guys are scared to approach women because most guys are judging themselves based on the reactions of women. So that's where hesitation comes in. That's where guys give up. They don't, or some guys don't even bother. And so what I tell guys is it's best to put yourself out there. And I tell guys talk to 25 women a day. You know what I mean? I tell guys to make this a consistent thing. I tell guys to make this a habit of, you know, approaching women and talking to women. Because if you do this, then you'll have an abundance of women that you can get with, interact with, and make something happen. The problem is that fear stops guys from doing it. And the thing is that the more you practice, the better you get at doing it. And then the more attractive you become when you're interacting with the women. And the thing is this, you don't need a bunch of women, right? The average guy, let's say average guy, you know, is dating 2 women at a time or whatever, or even has one girl that he makes his girlfriend or whatever. If you're talking to 25 women a day, and I say talking to 25 women a day, that's not even just with approaching, that could just be online or whatever. But if you're interacting with 25 women a day, right? That's hundreds of women. You understand what I'm saying, that you're talking to, and you only need to get 1 or 2. So it's like, it's so simple, but a lot of guys are so scared to just put themselves out there. It's terrible.
Most definitely. I feel like, you know, that you hear like, particularly now, like, you know, dating is like a cesspool. And I saw like a recent interview, like Tiffany Haddish did, where she was saying she was going on dates, like just because she wanted a meal. Like, you know, how can guys like, you know, have meaningful connections and not just be taking like, you know, women out for free meals?
Right. Well, I always tell guys, never take a woman out to eat for the first date. I used to tell guys, don't take women out to eat until you've already been like hooking up and having sex. But just in general, that entire thought is of women using guys for meals, using guys for attention, using guys. So the main thing is a woman using you. So the way to avoid a woman using you is going right back to what I was saying earlier about seeing if a woman is going to follow your lead, right? Because this is the thing. Women who don't like you are always going to deal with you on their agenda. You understand? So, and you're going to know it's on their agenda when they're not listening to you. When a woman likes you, she's going to listen to your agenda. So therefore, you're not going to be, it's going to be damn near impossible for you to get used if the woman is following your agenda. So if my agenda is, you know, I only go on coffee dates for the first date, right? And every time I talk to a woman, I invite that I want to, you know, invite out, I say, hey, let's meet up for coffee. Let's meet up for coffee. Let's meet up for coffee. And then so the women who are going to meet me for coffee are going on my agenda. The women who's going to reject it, they're not interested. The women who are going to say, hey, let's go to dinner, they're not interested because they're trying to change the agenda. So the thing is, the way that you avoid being used is basically telling a woman what you want to do, sticking with that, and then seeing if she follows that. And then all you're doing is seeing if she's consistent with that. So you go out for coffee, and let's say y'all talk, y'all flirt a little bit on everything, and then you can hit her up next week and say, hey, come over to my place. If she's interested in you, what is she going to do? She's going to come over your place. So interest or a woman using you means she's not interested. A woman following you means she is interested. So the way to find out if a woman's going to use you or play you, just tell her what to do and see if she does it. It's that simple.
One of the biggest things I always hear, like, you know, from both sides, like, you know, men and women, is like, you know, people are, you know, getting ghosted. What are your thoughts about ghosting?
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, people, they get really like butthurt when someone ghosts them. But ghosting is fine. And then this is why I say that, why ghosting is fine. The reason why ghosting is fine, and it sounds crazy, I actually like ghosting. I'm gonna tell you why. Because ghosting reminds you that you are not owed anything. You understand? So this is the thing. Because people will say, well, you know what? It's wrong. You should like text the person and tell them at least you're not interested anymore, and they need closure and all these other things. The issue with a lot of relationships is, and this is why so many people have a hard time with relationships and so many people are frustrated, is because most of the times people are frustrated in relationships because they have strong expectations, right? And so the thing is that if you have expectations and your expectations are not met, then you end up being disappointed. So the thing is that when you're dating, what you should do is enjoy the moments and then enjoy each and every other moment that happens after the fact, right? But don't have any expectations. So the ghosting, why I say it's good, is because sometimes what happens is that you get so attached, you get your heart in it, and then the person's gone. And you're like, damn, and you're feeling distraught. But what ghosting reminds you is to enjoy the moment. Because, for example, if I go on a date with a woman, right, first date, I never say or expect to ever see her again. Now, if I see her again, cool. If I don't see her again, cool. That's the attitude you should have when it comes to dating, because then what happens is that you're going to be able to date with positive energy versus dating with bitterness. And the bitterness comes in because you thought you was owed something. You see what I'm saying? And all ghosting means is that the person isn't interested. And why would you be crying over somebody who's not interested in you? They're just not interested. Cool. You're not interested. Let me move on. And I'm going to find somebody else who's interested, because the person who's interested in you is not going to ghost you. The person who's not interested will ghost. And it just is what it is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Mr. Locario, I was looking at your Instagram and you got the badboymembership.com. I guess you get 45 to 90-minute audio video series filled with detailed step-by-step content that helps you improve your dating game. What can people expect if they sign up for it?
Oh yeah. So on the Bad Boy membership, what I do is I drop programs every month, and it's different programs and it's step-by-step stuff. So it's really detailed, and it teaches you step-by-step how to do certain things to get certain outcomes in the dating game. And right now I have over 100 something programs on there. If you join it, you get all those programs in one swoop and then more added on. And so, yeah, I would definitely suggest people to get on that, because that'll definitely help you step up your game. It teaches you a lot of different things about confidence, about approaching women, about seduction, about, just interacting with women overall, having long-term relationships, short-term relationships. I actually have a program on how to, a few programs on hooking up, like anything that you're trying to do, it's on the Bad Boy membership. You see what I'm saying? So definitely check that out.
That's incredible. What's next for you in your career?
Yeah, so basically, what I'm doing next is that me and my team, we're going to be doing, because we just dropped our latest documentary, Game Kings 2. We did Game Kings 1 a few years ago. So we're probably going to be doing another documentary soon, doing some more live shows, across the country. That's the plan and everything. And then also I'm going to be doing more stuff on my motivation channel, and also my woman channel. So I'm going to be starting to do more stuff on that, because I've been basically focusing just on the guys and helping them with the dating stuff. So this year and moving forward, I'm going to be doing more of those type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, man. What's the best part of your job?
Yeah, I'll just say, I like when I see people get it, like when they get the information, meaning that they have the light bulb moment. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times what happens is it's like like if a doctor see someone sick and they're suffering, and then they give them medicine and they get better. It's the same thing. Like, I see people suffering in their minds. And so when they get the information, it's like, oh, I didn't know. Now let me apply this. They apply it. And then they're like, okay, I'm seeing better results. Like, I love when I see that happen, because that's the thing that happened for me when I was younger. So I had people who were mentors for me and taught me things that helped me out. And so I'm just basically paying it forward. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I do it.
Oh, definitely. Who were some of the people who mentored you and help you develop these skills?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had some personal people in my personal life that helped me, like some guys around my way in my neighborhood. But as far as people that some people would know online, is I learned a lot from Tariq Nasheed. I also learned a lot from Steve the Dean, who I work with too. Ron Wills and Alan Roger Curry. I think those are the four main guys that I learned a lot from, and also Gorgeous Dre, Rosebud, and also my dude Boss Max. So there's a lot of older guys that I learned a lot of information from, that I was able to implement into my game and then, benefit off of that information. You see what I'm saying?
Most definitely. What do you feel like now, like, the rise of like AI? Like, do you feel like, that's going to like affect dating in the future?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have more people be less socially aware and have less social skills. So what's going to happen is you're going to have people who, because they're lonely, they're going to use AI to try to cure the loneliness. Meaning, okay, well, I'm gonna have an AI girlfriend that I can talk to, or AI boyfriend I can talk to, and all this other stuff. And what'll happen is that it will make them feel good for a minute, but it's gonna always come back or come down to actual interaction. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the thing is that at the end of the day, you're gonna really still want the real deal, and then it's just going to be, but it's going to be worse because it's going to be more people just gravitating to that type of stuff. Unfortunately, you know what I mean?
Right. Like, I do see like, a lot of people having like a heavy reliance on technology. Like even now, like, I think like, one of the things that makes like dating so hard sometimes is that people don't even want to like put their cell phone down.
Mm-hmm.
People want to always be on their cell phone like all the time. And so like it just seems like, that it's harder, like, particularly like when I was growing up, like when, cell phones weren't as popular, you would have like, these human interactions, like, and I feel like, sometimes that we lose touch of that. And I think like though COVID was a great reminder of how important though that is, because like, when we were, separated, like, you saw like how important human interaction really is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's a fact. And so I think when people are losing their ability to be social and their social skills start to lack, right? That loss in communication is the thing that's going to make relationships even harder, because most people are going to feel a certain way but not know how to express it and to be able to come together and actually communicate to make things better, in a relationship. Because in order to keep a relationship lasting or long term, there needs to be that communication and understanding. And if that is lacking, then it's going to be hard for people to connect and make things happen for real. You know what I mean?
What's that? Why do you feel though, like I hear from like both sides, like men and women, like, that they're not able to find like, what they want in dating. And it seems like, that they're looking for similar things that they should be able to match up. Like, what's causing that separation and that drift?
Usually it's from unrealistic expectations. So everybody wants something they're not, meaning, this guy wants the most beautiful woman, but he hasn't worked on himself to be the most attractive guy. Or a woman wants a guy to be all these things, but she hasn't worked on herself as far as her personality and interaction to be attractive to him outside of sex. So then you have all these people wanting these things, but they're not the equivalent to attract that thing that they say they want. You see what I'm saying? And that's where all the friction is going to come in, at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Mr. Locario, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Well, appreciate you having me, man. Definitely, hit me up if anything.
Definitely. Anybody you want to shout out?
Just shout out to everybody watching. Shout out to you for having me, man. And shout out to all my people on Real Game No Theory. And yeah, man, I'll holler at y'all later. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.